with those exit poll numbers, with Sanders at 22% support among African-American voters. That's down 10% from where he was in 2016. With Sanders losing white no-college voters to Biden by, I think Steve said it was 13 points. Tell us how that resonates for you as a Missourian.
Well, if you look at the Democratic nominee first, they have to do well with African-American voters. Joe Biden has proven time and time again that he has got that really almost locked down. Secondly, you have to do well with suburban women. Joe Biden is doing very well with suburban women. What Donald Trump did in 2016 is he picked our pocket of white non-college voters. I don't care what all the union presidents said in Washington, their rank and file voted for Donald Trump. Especially in the building trades. They voted for Donald Trump. What Joe Biden is showing in Missouri tonight is there are going to be more white non-college voters in Missouri that voted for him tonight, and they're going to be populating these communities. And sometimes it's about whether you can speak up for the other guy. And I'm not saying that Missouri is anywhere in contention in November. I'm sure that Donald Trump would still be favored there by not as much as last time. But that portends in other states. If Biden is able to bring back home these white, non-college educated voters together with the suburban women who've had it up to here with the nonsense of Trump and African-American voters, no wonder Donald Trump doesn't want him to be the nominee.
Like Pennsylvania, Michigan,
Ohio, Indiana, you know, all of the states that a lot of those white non-college educated voters voted for Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, and he's always said from the beginning of the campaign, I can get them back. And him going toe-to-toe with that union member today, where the rest of the union guys were all around and he used a bad word, that will help him with those voters.
Totally agree.
It won't hurt him. It will help him.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.